Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I make a couple of dynamic blocks, starting from easy to a little bit more harder. So here I'm going to start with simple like move, scale, stretch. And then here as we go on, I will show you how to make this dynamic that all my window frames are even, except for the top of course. So without further ado guys, let us get into this video. Welcome back, guys. So first of all, let us start with this table. To see that this table does not have a correct base point, first of all. So let us go into the block. And the first dynamic or action I will show you is how to set your base point. And when you open your block editor, right here by your block editor banner, you have a couple of actions. Here are your parameters to say, and these are your actions. So parameters and actions, or actions and parameters. Also, you have your how to call this, your pop-up menu or your tab on the side, and these are the same things that you find right here. So we'll work from this palette right here on the side. And first of all, we want to set our base point correctly so that when we place our table, it will be set correctly. You can either decide if your base point is in the middle of the table, right here, or you could also decide, well, I would like my base point to be right here. Now, when you set your first base point, you cannot insert a next base point because this is confusing for AutoCAD. So first of all, the first base point is valid. Any other base point you try to insert won't be inserted. So as you can see, base point parameter already exists in your block definition. So this base point, we will either have to move it to where we want it to be. So let us put it here so that it will be square within a certain area. Or you could just set it in the middle. Let me just set it in the middle for this tutorial's sake. So that is our first parameter. So now to test it, you could either just close the block or you can test it. Let's see. According to me, I have a tab here, test block, right here. So test block. And what it will do, it will go into my a kind of environment that you can test your block. So here, this is not very visible because the only thing we did was to insert a base point. So to see what it does exactly, let us save this block. And here we can see now our base point, instead of being in this corner where it was originally, now we have our base point in the middle. So now let us go back into our block editor. And second of all, what I would like to add to this block is a align parameter. So let us go into our parameters and then let's choose align. And what align means, it just means that you will align your block to whatever you want to, like, let's say in your drawing you have this block and you want to align it to something. So let us just leave it as it is. So align, you just need a parameter align. And let us close it. And here's the align block or grip point. And here you can see it aligns it to wherever you set it as. As you see, it just aligns it to wherever you want it to be. So that was the align parameter. Now we have our, let's see, our point parameter. And the point parameter is just basically literally just a point or a grip point. And unlike the base point parameter and the align parameter, the point parameter requires action. So as you can see here, we have an exclamation mark. That means that you have to assign an action to this parameter. So to assign an action to the parameter, you can either go into my palette and choose the action you want to assign, or you can just double click it and then it would tell you which action you can choose. So I would like to choose my move action. And on the second step, it asks you to select your objects you want to move. So I want to move this chair. And then when I'm done selecting, I just press tab or space bar, and then it makes an action and it's called move. So now if we test this block again, let's save this block. And this is my grip point for the move action. And here you can see you can now move the chair. Unlike the others, only this one you can move because this one is where we assigned the action. The objects we assigned to the action was only this chair right here. So that is why only that chair is moving. Now let us move to a next parameter. And the parameter we're going to show I'm going to show you right now is the rotate parameter. Now let us choose this one. Let's see, I want it to rotate. No. Let's go to center of this chair right here. And then I want it to be 0 degrees. Let's see, radius, yes. And we just put it right here. Or you can put it wherever you want. Let us start it at 90 degrees to make things a little easier. So right here we have our rotation. And just like my point parameter, this also requires an action. And the action we're going to assign to it is, if we double click it, the only action that you have available is rotate. That's why it is not asking you to decide or choose an action because only rotate you can choose. So then again, we're going to select our object and press spacebar. And now we're going to close this block again to test it out. And here you can see you can now rotate this chair. You can also go into my properties and here you can see the angle to set to 91. That means it wasn't exactly correct. And here you can see this is the chair that we can rotate and this is the chair we can move and this is the align and this is just the base point of my whole block. Now last and not least, let us go to a next action, and in this action we're going to choose the flip function. So now let's go into my parameters and let us choose a flip, and I want to flip it here in this line. You place your flip, and this also requires an action, so let us just double click it. And the only action you can assign to the flip parameter is just a flip function or the flip action. So then you select your objects and here we can see it is set correctly. So then if we close it, now you can see we can now flip this chair. So this chair we can rotate, this chair we can move, this chair we can flip, and with this one we could just align the whole table to a specific line or curve or whatever you want to align it to. So that was the first dynamic block that we made. You can also combine it with different stuff if you like, or you can make all the chairs to be able to move or be able to flip or be able to rotate, whatever you like. Now going back to our table, one thing I forgot to show you guys was the scale function. So also with the scale function, you can resize your table as you go. So let me show you how this goes. Now select the middle with a linear parameter. And again, I just want 1 point, not 2. And now let's select the scale function, action. So now select your parameter again. and then the object to scale and press enter. And this would be my radius, the radius of my table. Let me just add a name radius. Just for the fun of it, even though we won't really use it, but you can just either leave the parameter name as default or you can add these so that you can use later on, especially if you're going to use your data extract. Now, since we have our scale function on, now, of course, if I scale it, then these, let me show you what will happen. If I scale it, then it will be over my chairs. So this looks kind of weird. So to fix this problem, let's go back into our block. Now, when we are scaling this, now we have to move these chairs accordingly to whatever scale we set this to. So to do that, you have to add a next parameter or next action to this parameter. So we select the parameter we want to assign it to, the point, and first of all, I want to move, let's say this one with my rotation. Make sure you select your rotation, and yeah, that's about it, your rotation. And now press space. Now it will just expand in the same or move this chair right here in the same direction as the radius. So when you move your radius or scale your table, it will also move this chair. Now I will want to also move the other tree. So you can just continue adding more actions to your same parameter. So now we want to move this one. We want to move this one and enter. Now the problem with this one is it will move it the same direction also. Let me show you what I mean. So if I go into my drawing, you can see this one is moving the same direction as the scale parameter or the radius parameter. But I do not want this. So what you can do is then select your move action that is related to this chair right here. It highlights as you select it. So let's go back and select it. Make sure you select only the last one we just made. And then here by angle offset, we want to set it to 90 degrees. So instead of moving 0 degrees that way, the same direction as the parameter or this radius, we want it to move up. So now we want it to move 90 degrees and not 0 degrees. So the same we will have to do for the other chairs. So let me do this quick right here. This one, we have to move it. So right here, we have to move it 180 degree. And don't forget, when you are adding your parameter, make sure you select also whatever, when you're adding your action, make sure you select whatever other parameter is related to that, whatever you're selecting right there. Because you don't want your chair to move and then my parameter, let's say the point parameter, to remain in the same position. So make sure you also select your parameter related to whatever you want to move. Now let's go one more time. And this one right here, and make sure select everything, including my parameter, my flip function, space, and then here we go into the angle again, and this one has to go 270 degrees, so meaning downwards. Now if we close this block and we stretch it, it works perfectly. You can see everything is going with whatever radius I select. So even my point is in the right direction, going good. My flip is still where I needed it to be, and my rotation is still where I need it to be. So make sure you always select with your whatever action you are doing, select also the parameter you assigned to the first time. Now let's move on to the sofa. So now the sofa, we can all, as you can see, first of all, the sofa has a good grip point, so it is parallel with in one line with the front of my sofa and in one line with the side of my sofa. So this is a good base point to have. So we won't assign a base point to this sofa, but it will be cool to be able to dynamically resize a sofa without having to make many blocks. So first of all, I would like to use the linear parameter. And now to make a linear parameter, I want to start in this corner and I want to end in this corner. So we're going to place it. And as you can see, it has two grip points, but I don't want it to be two grip points. I want it to have one because the depth of your sofa, you don't have to make it bigger here or bigger here. It's just one side you need to make it bigger. So for this parameter, this linear parameter, first of all, I want to limit the depth. And then I'm gonna, let's see, offset is just the distance that the parameter is on right here. It doesn't really matter. You can just leave it wherever you place it, doesn't really matter. Now here we have the minimum size and the maximum size. Now for this one, I do want a minimum size and a maximum size, but instead of specifying the maximum size, I'm going to give the person two options. So to be able to give them two options, we're going to make a list. And here we can add a couple sizes to that list. So the first one will be 700 because that is what it is now. And then we could add 600 and let's say 500. And the next thing we're going to do with this parameter is we're going to have only one grip point. So automatically this is the first grip point and this would be, or this would be the second grip point and this would be the first. So wherever you start your linear parameter, that decides which grip is which. So when you choose one grip point, automatically this one disappears. When you choose two grip points, this one will appear. And then when you choose no grip point, they both won't be available. So since we choose one grip point, only this one is now visible, which is why I want to stretch it in that direction. Now I want to also stretch. Now I have to, of course, set an action just like we did before. And this would be a stretch action. Now here you decide which grip point you want to be able to move. This one, of course, because that is my only grip point I have. Now they will ask you what frame. So in what section do you want to stretch? I want to stretch this section of my block. And now I have to select the items that are being stretched. And that was it for the depth. Now we have, of course, the width of my sofa. So with the width or the length of my sofa, whatever you want to call it, we have, of course, a couple of functions we also have to assign to. So first of all, we have a linear again. And this linear we will just set here. And the same way we would add uh, one grip point. So only on one side we want to make it longer. And let's see. Now for this one, first of all, guys, let us just name this parameter and we can call it the length. And for this one, we want to have two actions. So first of all, we want to a move action. And what do we want to move is these guys right here. And I also want the array action. Sorry guys, I sneezed. So with my array action, let's go into actions and let's choose array. Let's see, array. So now, even though this parameter right here has already an action assigned to it, you can still assign more action to one parameter. So now I will assign select the parameter I want to assign the array action. And now asking me which objects I want to array. So I will select these three. And now it is asking me what are the distance between the objects do I want to array. I want it to be 600, or the column size. Okay, so now that is the what it's supposed to be. And now this right here, let us see, this right here, the length, since this is array to be every 600 millimeters, I want also my move functions to work with those same steps of 600 millimeters. So now let us go into my length, select a length again, length parameter. And here, instead of using the list, we're going to use increment. And for this one, we're going to increment with 600. The minimum size, I think that was the length, of course, of my parameter right now, which is 1500. No, let us make it 900. That's the least it could be. And the maximum, let us just not put a maximum size to it. So that was it for this one. So now let's go into let us test this block out. So first of all, I want to test it out in the depth. Let us assign let us draw a dimension so that you will see what is happening as it stretches. Right here and right here. So now let us see. You can see it stretches up. That is the maximum. And now you can see it stretches down. Now, why is this? Oh, I think I know why. I think I have a double line on top of each other. So let us delete one. Oh, it's not deleting. It is good. So why is it now? Okay, so this one is the move, yes, and this one is the array. I think my AutoCAD just had a glitch, guys. So now you can see now it has steps of, well, I had to actually put my dimension here. So here we can see it was 700, 600, and 500. Now you see the width is 1500 and the minimum size that we select that I'd add was 900. So you see here we can go down to 900. But we can also make more seats. So like we have a 2-seater, a 3-seater, a 4-seater, and you can add as much as you like. It won't have a maximum because remember we didn't add a maximum to it. So that is how we made a dynamic block for our sofa. Now let us move on to the bed. And in the bed, we're just going to work with the width of the bed and a couple visibility options. So now let us go back into our parameters and let us select the linear parameter. Again, let us set it to 1 grip, or actually no grip in this example because we're not going to use the stretch to stretch it while you draw, but we're going to use just a table to change our dimensions of our bed. Now let us name this parameter the width, and that's just about it. Showing properties, yes. So that is easy. Now here we're gonna have the stretch function. We're gonna stretch it here. Let us select this part to stretch and right here to make it nice and easy. Yeah, to make it nice and easy. Now let us test the stretch function. It always works. You cannot really test it here because remember we did not select a grip in this example, but you can always stretch it here Let us see, 900. As you can see, this does not look quite cool, but you can just make it a little bigger. Oh, 100 is really a small bed. That is not normal. 1,000. Now this line right here is kind of annoying, and that is because we did not stretch this part. So let us go into our stretch function again and let us stretch till there. No, it's kind of strange. Yeah, let us stretch it this way. Let's just stretch it like this. Or let us just put this part right here, and then we can make it a little smaller right here. So now if we close this, we have to of course select that modify. Now it asks me the area again. I do not want to select a new area. I just want to add this part to my stretch function. So now let us close it, and you can see it is also stretching, even though it does not look quite well. Let us just delete this part because it does not stretch how I want it to stretch. So let us keep it this way so that we can just have this part right here. It's not really a problem, but you spines and circles is very hard to stretch. It does not really work with stretch. So for the example right here is not relevant right now. So I just deleted it. So now let us add a visibility function, and here we have our visibility. Let us put our visibility here. It doesn't matter where, as long as you put it somewhere. And let's call this visibility side table. Now, again, we have to add an action to this visibility side table. And this one is going to, the first state is going to call no side table. Let us select this part, copy, new, paste, one side table, paste, and we're going to two side tables. Now we have added our visibility state to our visibility parameter. And now you can see no side table, one side table, two side table. Now, of course, when is two side table is selected, let us just put this like this so it won't disappear every time. When two side table is selected, of course, it will show the two side tables. But of course, if you want one side table, actually let's change this to rename to one side table left, of course. And then we add a new one and we call this one side table right. And move this up. So this is the order it will be in. So now since the visibility state is active, one side table right, of course the left one has to be, sorry guys, the left one has to be invisible. So now we select this side table and we go right here, and this will make it make invisible. Now by the left one, of course, we have to make the right one invisible. Oh, sorry. I selected this part right here. Oh, I guess it doesn't have a line, so let me just draw a line to it. This part invisible. It doesn't have a line, so let us just add a line to it right here. So when it's invisible, this line will also show. And let us make it visible in all states. Okay, so now by no side tables, of course, we won't see any of the side tables, nor the left, nor the right one. So let us just make this one invisible. So now if we go in our right here, now of course this line you see right here is because we didn't add this line to our move or stretch function. So again, we have to add this one, enter, and close. So now we have our no side table, right or left, sorry, right, and two side table. That is very simple, straightforward, it's just a visibility. It just set things on and off and whatever stage you want it to be on there. Okay, so we have set the stretch function to stretch the width of our bed, and also a visibility function to make our side table visible and invisible. Now I want to also add some attributes. Now I want it to be, you don't have to lock it, but you can lock it if you want. And I want it to show the type of bed. I want it to prompt the just type, and default won't be anything. So, and the text is text 1 and 20. And let us just put it here in the middle. And we will copy paste this attribute a couple times. Let us see 60 and 120 down. So the second one we want to call the tag. No, actually description. And we want to prompt description. And this one we want to prompt also description, but let us just make it capital so we could tell the difference. Description, and here we want the price. Oops, sorry, capital letters. Okay, like this. So now we have this set. Let us see if we can change the format. I don't think you can change the format of an attribute. Let us see. No, I don't think. Right now, not. So that is a couple attributes we will be adding to our bed. And also, we want to add a action. It is called the block property table. And let us put our block property table anywhere, just here. One grip, yes. And in the property table, you would just add our function. So let's first add our attributes, our prices, our width, and our visibility state, and also our description. And from here on is very straightforward. We just have to fill in these table, and then you can just use the different option they have. You can also, the user can add one also. Now you can also add a lookup function. Let us first add a lookup function instead of a properties table, and here we have the same thing, just in a different type. Don't ask me why, guys, does AutoCAD have two different ones, but in this one, as you can see, we cannot add any attributes. So that is basically the same thing. It's just that here you can just choose the parameters and not any attributes. Let's see if we add. So you can either use that one or this one. Now let us go back to our properties, our actions, our block properties. And let's just do this one because we want to also add, let's see if we select all. Yes. So first of all, we go with a type, and the type, that is just a code. So let's start with king size bed. And this one is called 004. No side table. Description: king size bed with 2 side tables. What is the price of it? Let's see. I have a list of prices here that I estimated it at. It would be 600. No, sorry. This one is king size bed alone. So just the king size bed alone. The width of the king size bed, it will be 1800. And the side table, let us see, what is side table again? Oh yeah, the visibility state. So here we will select no side tables. And then for the next one, of course, king size 01L. That is a king size bed with, so here you can just copy paste stuff, with 1 side table. Now here it doesn't matter if it's left or right, it's just 1 side table. And this one will cost, let's see, the list of prices, 650. 650. Let's put a space in there. There's also 108, 1800, and this one has a side table on the left side. And let us just copy this, copy and paste. So this is same, only here we have our rights. And last but not least, we have number 2, which is a king size bed with 2 side tables. This one costs 700, and here our visibility state is 2 side tables. So now this whole set, we will copy paste this right here and paste it. So now we have a queen size bed, queen size bed, queen size bed, queen, copy, paste, just paste it all over. It's basically the same. And here, instead of it costing 600 first, this one costs 400. 450 and 5. And the width is not 18 but 1400. And this remains the same. No side table, 1 side table, 1 side table, and 2 side tables. So now again, we have this whole row, copy paste. And now we have our twin size bed. So T for twin size. And basically the same. Now we don't have a queen size but then twin size. I'll just leave the, I think it's 2 words. Oh. So twin, twin, and twin. Even though most twin size bed don't have two side tables, but let us just do it this way. Actually, let us just make it with one side table, either the left or the right. It costs 200, 250, and 250. So this one does not exist. Most twin size bed do not have two side tables. And the twin size bed here in Holland is 900. So here we have the list. Yes, I want to save it. So now if we go into our block part must match a row in the table. Yes, it doesn't matter. One or more errors were found in the block properties table. What do you want to do? Save changes and close the block properties table. Yeah, let us just do it that way. It's just telling me that it does not match it. So now if we go, the problem why it doesn't match it is because our bed is not exactly 1800. So let us go into my this right here. By the way, this one you do not want to have a grip. Sorry. No. And also we don't want to make it visible. But actually, yes, we want to make it visible in our properties. And then this one right here, you want to make it exactly 1800 because it is having quite an issue with the properties, so it's have to match it exactly. Let us see, why isn't it matching it exactly? You know what? Let us just make life easier and let us make this 1800. Let us see if it will do it now properly. Yes. So now as you can see, default when last property use. And it has an empty cell. Why is it empty? No errors not found. Okay. So now that we add in everything in our table, in our properties table, after you have closed in it, make sure you make this in show in all visibility, or else it won't show in the visibility you're currently in, the other visibilities that you're not currently in. So now here we have our block, and now you can just select the type. So you see you can select our, and of course here you don't have our attributes, but then when you go into insert and then manage attributes, let's see, sync, sync, and sync. It won't. Let us see. What you can do to fix this problem is just re-add it or reinsert it into your block. Let's see right here, I have a block function, and let us see bed. And now that I have reinserted it, you can see here we have our attributes. It is empty right now because we not selected anything. So here, as we select it, it automatically updates it according to whatever you have selected. Now, why it is not visible here is because, again, I have forgotten to make this attribute, these attributes in all states visible. Make sure whatever you're adding after your visibility state that you, sorry guys, my charger for my computer right here. So here you can see that it makes everything visible for every state. So now you can see as you select a state, a type, make sure that doesn't happen. So you would just have to align your text in a different part if you don't want the text to be longer than what it's supposed to be. Like here you have our twin bed with one side table and our twin bed, right? So if you don't want this to happen, let us just put it in a different part. Let's just put it here and save this right here. And that is how you use your property. Instead of using your lookup table, your property is better because it updates also your attributes if you're using attributes. If you're not using attributes, the lookup function, so the lookup, let's go into this part, your lookup parameter would be enough instead of using your property. Now let us move on to our window. And in our window, we have a couple of things that we have to remember. These glasses, they have to, while we stretch our window that way, these two windows have to remain the same width, or glasses have to remain the same width, and these two glasses vertically have to also remain the same width, the same height. So let us add first of all our simple parameters, so just our height and our width of our window. So let us just select it to be one grip. This one we will rename height, and this one will be named width. And now we have to stretch this block upwards in the height, and we have to stretch it from this point. So remember, this one will remain the same, and this part will be stretched up. So we have to stretch this whole part up. And here in the width, we have to stretch the whole window to the side. So this part will be stretched, let us see, this way. And make sure you select everything. Now let us go back to bring this right here. So now if we save this, let's test it out. This works correctly, and the width also works correctly. Now we have to make sure that this part remains in the middle, and this part also remain in the middle. So now let us go into our action. So we will add a second action, stretch to our height in that direction. And now we want to stretch just this part of the window. So we will just select this part right here and only select these right here. So let us test it out again. And let us reset our block. Now, one thing I forgot to say, this action will be the half of whatever the height is stretched. Because remember, this will always stay in the middle, so it's always the half of whatever you stretch the height to be. So now if we stretch the height up, as you can see, something is still wrong right here. Let us see, what do we have to stretch? We stretch something too much. As you can see, we stretch this line right here. We have to modify. Sorry, right here, modify the selection set. We do not want to draw any frame, but we do want to remove this line. So just click on R for remove, or select it and remove this part right here. So then let us see it. Sorry, I did not press OK. So once more, remove. I want to remove this right here, and then press enter, and then close it off. So here we can see, oh, sorry guys, we have to also remove the one on the left, on the right side also. Modify and remove this one and press enter. So now it is working properly. So whatever the height may be, it will just stretch these two to be equally big or the same height. This one will just remain the same. You can also do this one, but it will cost you way more time to make sure that all three are the same height. But since these two is, I'm okay with these two being the same height and this one just being the top. Mostly doors are made this way anyways, like this way. So these two will mostly be glass, sometimes be glass, and these will be closed or the other way around. So I'm okay this way. So now we have this one also, the same problem. We have to make sure that the glass remains in the middle. So now we have again a stretch option. Now we have to stretch, we have to use this parameter. We have to stretch it in that direction. And we just want to stretch these right here. So only these two. And the same way, we have to stretch it the half of whatever it is. As you can see, restart the block, reset the block, and here we can see it is stretching it, but it is not stretching. Sorry, we have to stretch here the half. So not in the end, but in the middle. And we have to modify our selection set. We have to stretch these two. And we also have to stretch this right here. So let us see now if it works. Yes, it works. But now something else is wrong. This part right here have to be more down to make sure it takes the whole part. So meaning that whole part right there. So this works properly. And again, we have to make sure we select these two, which I forgot, and add them also to our selection set. Modify and add these two to it also, and save it. So now you can see these two remains in, these two parts are even, and in the height these two parts are even. So that is how you can use a dynamic block to make your window dynamic and still center things that need to be centered. And of course, you can multiply with different stuff, so you can add more and more stretch function to add more and more sections. So like this one will be 3 instead of 2. So to do this, you can just do, this one will be instead of 0.5, this one will be 0. Let's say 33333, and this part will be stretched. Then you would have to modify a couple stuff. Let's see, this one will be stretched up. So then we have to make sure remove these, enter, and then we would have to add a new stretch also up, and the section we want to stretch is this part right here, and we want to stretch all of this, and we will also make sure to multiply by 0.3333. That is 3 trees. Let me see how much I did. This one is for 4 trees, sorry. So let us see if this works. Reset. Let's see. It does something, but let us see why it isn't. So this one will be 0.0033, and this one is also and this one will be everything. So sorry, this one will be 0.03 and this one point 0.66. I think it will be worked that way. Yes. So now you can see it works. So this one will be 0.33 and this will be 0.66 and this will be 1. So this is 1/3, 2/3 and 3/3. So that is how you can do your stretch functions for your window. This you can also do indoors. So guys, I hope you learned something from this tutorial and I help you to understand dynamic blocks. There is much more you can do with dynamic blocks, but of course that depends on the block you want to make dynamic because every block behave in a different um, way depending on what you want it to do. So I cannot show you each and everything that everything does because it depended on your block. So these example is what I have for now so that you may have idea how it works, and I hope you learn something and you can implement it in whatever block you want to make dynamic also. So guys, bye for now and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys.